Hello, Intent to Injure League, and welcome back once again to the Intent to Injure recap podcast. Calling it a Carcast today, as we are coming to you live from an undisclosed location. Don't ask where we're at. Just simply sit there and accept the information that we're passing along to you. Recapping Week 9 of our Fantasy Hockey League. Austin, how you doing today, brother?
Good, great, grand, and wonderful. Had a good lift today. Just realized my watch is not set to the proper time, so that's a start. But yeah, it's been a good day.
I'm glad to hear that. It was a big Week 9.
Why is that still on?
That's how this car is.
There we go. Oh, good. Okay, if you open the door.
So let's just get right into it. Let's jump into the recaps. Let's start off with the upset of the week. And
yeah, definitely.
I think you know which one I'm talking about here.
It'd be hard not to know.
And so an eye-opening score in this game. We're a joke. This team sucks. Puts up 159.3 points after willingly placing his players up for auction on the league message board.
Just smoking Madonna Autogoal.
Defeats Madonna Autogoal 7-1 squad. And they lose this one. 159.3 to 101.9. I mean, my phone is completely...
Your phone has gone bananas.
I'm getting updated scores, like...
Okay. Yeah.
I'm getting this week's scores are now diving into my recap scores from last week.
I have 12.9 playing Sam from last... This
Yeah.
app's a mess.
Yeah, ESPN, please.
We're begging you.
I'm pleading. Fix this app. This is terrible.
Like, you have to have some intern who could just work on this for one day.
You would think.
They have all these kids from Harvard and Yale. Like, figure it out.
So let's talk about where joke this team sucks. Obviously, a huge win for them this week. I did get a text from him just the other day saying that he wanted to send out a personal apology to all of his players for the way that he basically blasted them through the media.
It may have worked, though.
But yeah, maybe that was his way of kind of motivating the team. They certainly responded well. But this is what I've been telling Brent now for a while. It's a long season. Sure, everybody's gonna have a couple of weeks this year where their players aren't performing, no matter who you have. That's just the reality of the season. It's 23 weeks.
Yeah.
You're gonna have a couple of down weeks. That's how it is.
And you're gonna have weeks where your big players maybe only have 2 games or one game. You know,
that's
some
just
scheduling
that's kind of the ebb and flow of
snafu
of the season. So Brent, obviously, you have to understand that. I think he's coming to terms with it after a week like this. Wonder if the big win here warrants a name change.
I think it should. But then again, do you just roll with it?
You might have to. I mean,
that's my rationale. I just roll with it.
Yeah, I mean, hard to... if you're superstitious like that, I mean, hard to switch up after just a monstrous week. And in looking at the other side of things here, and you talk about Madonna Autogoal, how about Sidney Crosby? And we've talked about it a little bit this week. His inability to score goals, it's almost weird.
You have a thought as to what it may be.
What did I even say? I can't even recall.
He's named a significant amount of terminal medical conditions, including but not limited to.
Yeah, that was last
spina
year.
bifida, which is not life-threatening. Well, it is when you're born, and malignant substances. We've gone to say like his wrist may be gangrenous. That's my thought.
Yeah, but this was all during the playoffs last year. I have not thrown out any of these theories this year. It's just his lack of... And the thing is, and we were down at Carson City Saloon for the Penn-Sens game this past Saturday, and I even said it to Robbie, who seemed to agree, like, what's up with Crosby? Why can't he score goals? His girlfriend Amanda said, you guys are nuts. He's like leading the league in points, and that kind of puts things into perspective.
I was just going to say, thank goodness, like, she was a great voice of reason. Amanda, if you're watching, we appreciate it.
And she kind of put things in perspective there, but at the same time, you see he's got 9 goals on the year, but he did have 2 in the opening game of the season. And if you date this back to kind of the playoffs last year and Crosby kind of coming down the home stretch of the regular season, just not a big goal scorer at all. And I mean, like, not that he needs to be a big goal scorer. I mean, just like, give me a goal every 4 or 5 games. And the average is actually slightly below that. Over the past, 6 months of hockey for him.
It's been interesting, yeah. I think the number, and this isn't quotable, but I'm pretty sure Yoey said He has like 13 goals over his last, like from the beginning of last year's playoffs till now, which is insane.
Right, and that's exactly what I'm referencing. I'm
So
pretty sure I read that, and then I just got pissed.
Right. So that was what? They played 2 series last year, so that was 13 games plus their what? Like their 11, 6, and like 4 or something.
Right.
So that's like you're looking at almost 40 games. You're pushing 50 games, and he only has 13 goals.
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
that's the reality of it. I mean, the reason that I bring it up now is that you have the Pens. There's all these injuries, and if there was ever a time that the Penguins needed Sidney Crosby to produce goals, it's now. Typically, we all understand he's a born playmaker, but right now he really doesn't have the wingers to be able to do that. Sure, he's still putting up some points, but at the same time, it would be nice to see him get under the goal column a little bit, and I'm sure the Madonna auto goal will tend to agree with that.
Yeah.
Jumping over to the next game now. Let's jump.
Do we jump to the newly named team? I didn't even know.
Yeah, let's do that.
And I just actually had to look through to figure out who it was.
So we had a name change from Colin Fawcett last week. From Team Cologne to the Edmonton Oilers, and the Edmonton Oilers have now changed their team name to the Wheeling Nailers. So you can kind of see it's kind of regressing, the team name.
They've gone from NHL, they've completely bypassed the AHL, and now they're in the ECHL, which is...
It's fascinating. It's
Yeah.
a fascinating move. The weird thing is, and I believe Blake Wheeler gets the win over the Wheeling Nailers here, ironically enough, 144.8 to 96.6. With Fawcett, I mean, I think I saw that his team is now 3-6, so it's not even like his team is that bad. There's a couple of teams below him in the standings. I'm not sure what he's so down about. I mean, maybe he just doesn't see this getting any better moving forward, and that's kind of the reasoning for the name change.
Could be pulling an Ottawa Senators and just firing their coach.
Yeah,
with a 500 record.
It is what it is.
He won the Jack Adams 18 months ago, and then they're 500, and they
and I was just thinking about that the other day when they said Paul McLean was fired as head coach of the Senators, and you remember it wasn't too long ago when Bowsman was winning coach of the year, and a couple years later, now he's sitting there without a job. It's amazing how quickly things turn.
Have one. He'll probably have one north of the border shortly. I can't imagine what he could do with. Oh, he would let Carlson just go bananas. There's legitimate talk. Yeah, there's already talk between him and Guy Boucher.
The old Lightning coach.
Correct.
Okay.
Who has like one of the most heinous looking scars. He looks like Al Capone.
Did he get that playing hockey himself?
Oh yeah, he took like a skate blade. Like it splayed open his cheek. It looks.
Yeah, but I like both those guys. You got a couple of young guys there who.
Oh yeah, I mean those guys
do have the experience.
And they preach a wide open game, which would be better for Ottawa than what they have, I guess. But they have a lot of talent there. Were a lot of expectations this year. Losing Jason Spezza has hurt them a lot more than they thought it would.
And where is Spezza now?
Dallas.
Okay, that's right.
The line of Spezza, Sagan, and what's his face, Jamie Benn.
And I wanted to talk about Dallas a little bit. So let's jump to a game where we can do so. And
you can jump to mine.
Well, I was actually going to jump to a very tight game this week. And it was the Real Deal Neals winning by exactly 1 point over Goodnight Jim Kite.
Whoa, yeah.
I wanted to talk about, and this is a guy that we put down a little bit at the start of the preseason. You probably know where I'm headed with this. And it's the Dallas Stars forward, Tyler Sagan, who now leads the NHL in points and in goals.
Yeah, he's the best player in the league at the moment.
I mean, unbelievable.
It's unstoppable.
I did not see this coming. And you just have to wonder, I mean, how do you think Boston feels right now after giving him up? And that's a team that struggled to score goals.
Do you remember who they got for him?
No.
Louis Eriksson.
Okay.
Who's been concussed for like a year and a half now.
Louis Eriksson always seems to be hurt. And what was the knock on Sagan there? That he was like partying too much? He was a wild man, wasn't he?
He wasn't. And that's the thing. You have to realize that with some of these athletes. It's like, I read a great article today on The Score by Justin Bourne, and he was talking about when a coach loses a room, and it's like you can't crack the whip on these kids too much, because these weren't kids who had to grind their way through juniors, and then they had a tough time making the world junior team, and then they had an even they had an even tougher time making, they've had to play in the AHL, then they had to play in to make their way up. I mean, Tyler Sagan came out as the number 2 overall pick. This kid had all the skill in the world. He's been told that his head, his hair is rainbows and his shit smells like Febreze. So he's never been, I guess in a way, coached up by yelling at him, and that's
Right.
what Claude Julien was saying. They said like he would just beat the shit out of this kid, and he was just like, the kid's like, well, play me, like let me show my talents. Boston's such a straight line team. At the time, they had, Bergeron, Lucic, Krejci, they had Marchand. They had such a team that they didn't really need they needed his skill set, but they did. It was almost like he was stuck on the third, sometimes fourth line.
Right.
And it's like his skill set there was like get the puck deep, win a battle, keep the puck in the offensive zone, and change after 45 seconds. Now you send this kid down to Dallas, and it's like just go create. And Lindy Ruff's just sitting there laughing, although Dallas's record is laughable as well. But it kind of shows that, you make a change, you move to a different place and you get a little bit better.
Yeah, a little change of scenery does the old trick. And yeah, I mean, it's just kind of ironic because you see the Bruins, who are a struggling team right now, and goal scoring is kind of hard to find up and down that lineup. So, I mean, I'm sure that they wish they had that one back. Another interesting note on the Bruins, I did see that Chara is close to returning, which is great news.
Yeah,
that's
it's
a
good
guy
news for the league.
Well, that's a good, I mean, as far as my fantasy team goes, because actually Brent had dropped him a few weeks ago.
Brenty boo.
More than a few weeks now. It's probably close to 5 weeks ago when Chara was out with that knee injury. I picked him up maybe about a week and a half, 2 weeks later, and have just been anxiously awaiting his return. So I'm excited to get him back and go, and he will certainly help my defense out.
Boston currently in 7th. They're in the playoffs with 31 points. That team will turn it around. It's not...
Yeah, they will.
I mean, every team, expect the Penguins to go through a lull this year. Every team just does it. I mean, they're going to get regression through across the board. Tampa Bay's not going to keep up this pace. Detroit's not going to keep. And then there's teams like the Capitals and the Rags, and the Devils even. I will go even as far to say the Devils. They're not going to be this bad. Everyone will regress to their normal mean here at some point. Columbus is not finishing 14th in the Eastern Conference. So these teams, when everyone gets healthy and we see at the end of January, the beginning of February, and then you have that playoff push, everything kind of evens itself out. Carolina, Buffalo will all fall to the ground. I mean, so you'll kind of Edmonton will fall down. Calgary will definitely regress back. My rationale on the Predators, everyone knows this. They will regress to the mean. Law of averages. Ask Robbie Wright about law of averages.
And we're seeing that right now, and I believe you're referencing James Neal.
True.
Who hasn't scored a goal in 9 games. I actually posted today on the message board asking if James Neal was still alive and playing in the NHL, because you wouldn't know it as of late. He has just been radio silence over there from Jimmy Neal. Let's jump over to your matchup now. You had the week high, and you continue to roll here. Get your 8th win of the season to improve to 8-1. You defeat the Jonathan Quickies, a final score here of 164.5 to 113.8. Your thoughts on this game?
It was Mendelson had a nice lead. I had a massive day. I had a 65-point night. Wow. I think on a Friday, this past Friday, and Sam didn't have a lot of players going this weekend, so he kind of that. And granted, I don't think he was coming back from that. I mean, I just got pretty lucky. I had 3 guys score on a power play. 2 ended up being game-winning goals. Blah blah blah. All those bonus point stats add up after a while. I had a shutout at Bobrovsky. I had a shutout from Ronta. So. It all kind of worked out in the end. I don't know. We'll just keep our head down and just going to play it week by week, and I don't know, just get pucks to the net. But get to our game. Our game is starting slow, and then kind of just exploding at the end.
And kind of an interesting statistic here, and we're going to jump into all the league leaders, so to speak, here in just a little bit. I have all the stats written down here on a nice little sticky note, but I felt that this one was appropriate to bring up now after you put up 164.5 on Mendelson and the Jonathan Quickies. He actually leads the league in points against. Therefore, there's been more points scored on his team than any other. And so far this season, 1,115.2 points scored against the Quickies. So, I mean, in this situation, you always want to say, Mendelson puts up 113.8 this week, and, he would have been able to beat about half the teams in the league. But just not the case, and what can you do when a team puts up 164 points,
There's not much, man.
So it is what it is. So Mendelson drops down to 5-4. You're up to 8-1. Now jumping over to my matchup, I edged one out against the Odd Man Out. Talkett's Book Service wins 120.6 to 118. So a 2.6 point victory. And this was a scenario where Ott had a lot of guys going on Sunday, and I had a 15-point lead, and I was just sitting back holding on for dear life. And if there was one more guy going, or even just maybe even an extra period of hockey, a couple of shots, one gets in, I lose this week. Was sweating this one out. Hats off to Big Kurt for putting up a heck of a battle this week, but certainly satisfied with the win. An interesting note in this game, and I win by 2.6. We actually saw live, Revito, at Carson City, the goal that was initially credited to Sutter, and I believe this was the second Pens goal, maybe the third Pens goal.
It was the one that I said was tipped, and it was. Yeah, it was Sutter, and then Malkin tipped it as well.
Right, so it was initially credited to Sutter. They went back after the game and gave Malkin credit, and that actually bumped me up. How many points is a goal? 3? So, and then I win by 2.6. So that stat correction actually ends up winning me the week. Gino with a week higher for my team as well with 14. So another week in the books here, and a couple. I mean, across the board, some good battles here.
Oh, and shockingly, there was a goal correction at Consol Energy Center. So.
And we see that, and,
just pathetic.
and I actually sent you the tweet that I saw from somebody after the game. There was like 4 different errors on goals that are all coming out like an hour after the game. Well, what is going on over there?
The best part was you sent me one that wasn't even the Malkin goal. You were like,
no,
there's a correction, and then Pompiani's like, goal correction. I'm like, this is a fucking joke.
I mean, what are they doing over there?
You guy has one job. Literally his job is to like perk people up on the kiss cam, like to tell people like, oh, look, you're on the kiss cam. And then he says like, okay, who's ready to dance for a dilly bar? And then all you have to do is frickin' watch the game. Like, how if you have the best vantage point to see every goal? And this guy's
on top of it, you know he's a screen next to him just showing him the replays over and over again in slow motion. What is the issue? And I don't think we ever said it.
It's maddening.
I know that we've complained about it on here, how that's the case, but when we actually went to a game, we were at the Penn Isle game a few weeks ago, and literally somebody scored for the Pens, and I told you right after the goal, let's wait, let's see how long this takes.
Oh yeah.
Literally 5 minutes. They announced the goal, and it's 5 minutes is an awkwardly long time. Like if you were to set a stopwatch and sit there for 5 minutes, that's how long it took for them just to announce the goal. And without fail, 10 minutes later into the period, they come out with a classic goal correction, which we actually saw on the one replay that they showed us there. That right
after the goal, there was a replay. Hornquist wasn't even in the fucking play.
Yeah, they were giving Hornquist an assist who was over in the corner, nowhere near the puck. I mean, it's really unbelievable. I mean, that had us in tears.
I'm almost wondering if it's a joke.
It might be a running joke.
Because if it is, I would appreciate that. Because that would at least let me calm down. It is actually maddening. You have one goddamn job, and then you without fail. I know the rules are now you have to do it during play. That's the rule. But every freaking time, the best you can't. Yeah, they don't announce goals during intermissions or commercials. There has to be play going on or okay. The game has to be live on television for you to announce the goal. There has to be people, or at least you're looking at the ice. You look at a Chicago or a Boston or a San Jose game.
Everywhere.
They're still celebrating, and it's
the horn's still going off, and they're announcing the names.
You almost can't even hear it because they're it's like Kane from Taves and so, and there's never a correction.
No, I mean that's something I'm sure my brother Ben, would like to fix when he takes over and renames the Consol Energy Center the Pit and just cleans house. I mean that's probably the first thing I would do.
Yeah, that guy could clean the bathrooms, and you know it's coming because it'll start out with Yeah. It's not
it's always
he goes, we have the goal correction. It's almost like he's embarrassed, but it's save yourself the embarrassment and just get it right the first time.
And I thought that's what the 5 minutes was for.
Right. What are you looking at?
You're okay, this is what happened. Let me just double check with a replay. No, I mean, what are you doing up there? What are you doing?
They have these slow-mo replays. You can see the puck hit someone's stick. If there's a puck sliding on the ice from the point and it hits the top of the net. I'm pretty sure it didn't just float.
It's just not a hovercraft.
It didn't grow wings and fly there. These guys are such. They suck.
Yeah,
they suck.
Mean, it's really unbelievable.
And then we heard a quick caveat about Blake Wheeler. An interesting story about Blake Wheeler was a point snake in high school hockey that I never knew about. Oh, here we go again.
Yeah. So, and I'm trying to think of who else maybe would know this in the league. Maybe Fawcett would know for sure. I can't remember if Jake Boss and Kurt Ottiver played together in the same team, and Mendelson might have played with him for a year. So I basically, over the past week, it came to my attention in one of my JV games where, typically in an amateur hockey game, after a goal is scored, and if the ref's kind of unsure of who scored and who set it up, he'll go up to the players that are celebrating, in their little huddle, and be like, all right, give me some numbers, who scored, who got the assist.
And I did not know that this was the case. I thought the refs did their best, and then just, whatever.
And sometimes, a good ref would be able to pick up and kind of just replay it in his head and be like, so. But sometimes it is a little confusing. I know when I refed, I would most of the time ask just to be sure. Because you want to give credit where credit's due.
Sure.
Well, this wasn't always the rationale or train of thought for Jacob Boss, who I claim probably stole upwards of 20 assists from me back in the day. Jake would always, a goal would be scored, Jake would run up to the ref and always say 71 on the assist. And like, Jake, I swear I seen him jump off the bench after a goal and run up to the ref and get credit for an assist. And the thing is, he'll be the first to admit this to you. And I think he kind of embraced it towards his later high school years, because he would be on the bench, and if the ref would come over and maybe ask the coach, Jake would start laughing and be like, 71 was assisted that. That's classic Jake Boss and everything that Jake Boss stands for. So Jake, kind of an ode to you, brother, taking you back to the glory days.
Leading the pill in points.
Yeah. There's a reason Boss ended with 3 points per game average. Moving forward, speaking of league leaders, let's talk about some of the league leaders in certain categories through the fantasy hockey season to this point. What kind of spurred me to do this is, and I've said it now for the past few weeks, to kind of compensate for my 6-3 record, and I'm in 4th place in the league. I like to consistently remind the league that I am the current league leader in points for. So that's kind of what started me, got me started into looking at all this stuff. So, in case you guys were wondering, the exact number, Carcast Book Service leads the Intent to Injure League with 1,176.2 points. That's 22.2 points better than the next best team. Then I also saw, the winning streaks and the losing streaks. Blake Wheeler currently has the largest winning streak of 5 consecutive wins, and Kurt Ott has the biggest current losing streak of 6 straight losses. We've talked about this before. Matchup acquisitions. No surprise here. The Todd Newkent is your leader with 55, and that's 30 more than the next most in the league. This is an active individual, and it's actually paid off well for you.
It works.
And you will be, I don't know if you'll be surprised to hear this, but basically every goal category, your team leads in. So just straight goals, your team has 105. That's 8 better than the next best team. You lead in power play goals with 35. That's 2 better than the next best team. And you also lead in game-winning goals with 21. That's 4 better than the next best team. And you, Kurt Ott, and Brent Mansfield all are tied with 3 shorthanded goals to lead the league in that category.
I didn't even know that was a category.
Carcast Book Service has the best plus-minus with plus 49. That's 2 better than the next best. Blake Wheeler leads the Intent to Injure League in assists with 169. That's 1 better than the next. The Real Deal Neals lead the Intent to Injure League in hat tricks with 3. We know James Neal has 1 of those. I'm sure Sagan has to have 1 at this point with all those goals, you would think.
Tarasenko, I think, has 2.
That's right, he is Tarasenko. Both those guys are setting the NHL on fire. So
fuck, Devils just scored.
Look out for the Real Deal Neals. That's actually a good thing, but that's for separate reasons.
Okay.
The Jonathan Quickie's the lead in power play points with 102. That's 7 better than the next best player. Just a couple more here, and the final 4 here. Well, we'll say Jonathan Quickie's have let up the least amount of goals, 97. And then the last 3 here for goalie statistics are all led by Madonna auto goal. So this isn't goalie, but shots on goal, Madonna auto goal leads 42 better than the next best team with 981. Madonna auto goal has the most goalie wins with 41, 3 better than the next best. And Madonna auto goal leads with 9 shutouts. That's 3 better than the next best team. So, a lot of numbers to take in there for sure.
The fucking statistics course.
It seemed real easy as I was kind of just going through each one individually and writing it down.
Then you try to like not sound like a robot reading it
I sound
off.
like.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard Phil Bork before the start of a Pens game kind of go through the numbers?
It's awful.
You're sitting there and I feel like a robot trying to like take it all in and listen. I'm just sitting there like trying to process all these numbers because he throws like 1,000 numbers at you in like 10 seconds.
They'll have the most asinine like trivial. Crosby's wins 17% of his faceoffs when he goes on the forehand.
On Tuesdays versus the Devils.
Yeah, and when the ice is cleanly cut, there's a 54% chance. Yeah, it's like, oh my god, like Borky, like
where the hell I don't know where he's acquiring these statistics.
But so what else do we want to talk about? I know we didn't get to all the matchups, but everybody can look at those.
The matchups for this week?
No. Last week, I don't think we talked about.
No, we did. Well, we went over all the final scores.
Oh, beautiful, good.
Going over for real quickly the games for this week, rivalry week. Todd Newken versus Talkers Book Service. This is bound to be a good one. A couple of teams that have had success, especially as of late. I know you're 8-1, and
don't be Giroux because it was on the power play.
Hopefully, it is Giroux.
It didn't even upload yet. Giroux had an assist. Braden Shen from Giroux at 17:53 on the power play. Cunt ass bitch, cunt fucker. You know.
All right.
Oh,
all right. So it's Todd Newken versus Talkers Book Service. The matchup live as live can be. You're 8-1. Talkers Book Service has won 4 straight. The Odd Man Out versus the Real Deal Neils. They're off and running. That game already has. They're both over 10 points themselves. Madonna Autogol 95 versus the Jonathan Quickies. Goodnight Jim Kite versus the Wheeling Nailers. And We're a Joke, This Team Sucks versus Blake Wheelher. We didn't really get to talk a lot about the Pens. We usually just throw in just a few minutes of Pens talk.
4-minute segment.
They're literally they're running on E. I mean, they literally have nobody left outside of Crosby, Malkin, Fleury, basically.
It's a struggle. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing how I think it shows you how good our 2 best players are, because even when your wingers are Spalling and Downey and Como and who am I forgetting here?
Kunitz?
No.
You're naming the current
I don't
guys.
even know. I literally. Who am I forgetting?
I didn't even hear what you said. But
Spalling, Downey, Como, and who the hell has they moved? Sutter. Well, Malkin was playing wing now. That's right. That's why. It's amazing how like they can still hang with these teams, because you have to throw like your first line center against Crosby, regardless if he's playing with me or Kunitz. It's amazing. So it's like they can still hang with these teams, but it's like at a certain point, you can only ask Ford to do so much. You can only ask these not young, but per se inexperienced defensemen to do it so much. I mean, it's insane.
It really is. It's
in a weird way. It's like shit. This kind of feels like this must feel like what a middling low end team feels like. So like if you're a Winnipeg Jets fan, or like a previous years a Flames fan, where you have that little bit of talent. I mean, we have a lot of talent still, but you have that talent, and it's just like you have nothing around it.
Nothing to complement.
And it's just like, oh my, you're smashing your head off a wall, because it's like if we had any defense, our goalie would be better. If we had any offense, we could win games. And it's just like, holy hell! I mean, last night was a fluke of all flukes. Downey hitting a knuckle puck into the net.
You're referencing the game against the Rangers.
Yeah, last night. I mean, it's just like that was as fluky as it can possibly get, and ugh. I mean, just yuck.
Well, you know where we've hit a rough patch. Whenever I was offered actually 3 separate sets of Pens tickets on Saturday for Pens hosting Sen, the 1:00 Saturday afternoon, to which I declined all 3. I don't think that's literally never happened before. Typically, if I get asked to go to a Pens game and I don't want to go, I'll say no the first time. If a second pair of tickets is offered to me, there's no way I'm saying no again. It's just like, if I put a little bit more thought into it, okay, yeah, I want to go.
I had 4 tickets to that game, and we ended up going to Lyft at the Clown Show and watch the game at whatever.
Well, we watched it at Carson City, but then we were also watching some college football, because nobody wants to watch the baby Pens right now. I mean, that's when they're trying to advertise and shove a bunch of clink hammer highlights in my face. Just get out of here with that.
Watching that guy try to skate is a circus, and it's a clown show in and of itself.
And at my last shift at St. Clair Country Club, one of the guys actually brought up Like, there go the lights again.
Well,
He actually brought up how well Klinkhammer, like, what a nice addition he's been. And I couldn't, and typically, I'll always agree with the member. No matter what they say, even if I feel the complete opposite way, I couldn't get myself to agree to that comment at all. Because the only thing I could see in the back of my head was that one shift that we watched where he got the puck in the neutral zone, took 2 strides, and a guy 8 strides behind him had already caught up to him. This guy was so slow. I mean, this was, if you guys remember, and some of you probably played with him, I know Jake Boss, of all people, would know this one, Chris Resnick. He was the slowest skater of all time. I mean, I still, in the back of my mind, can see him just winding it up. And I mean, it would probably, from one end of the ice to the other, it'd probably take him 25 seconds. I mean, it doesn't get much slower than Chris Resnick back in his prime.
Apparently, the kid's a stiff. I don't know.
I mean, Chris Resnick's a great human being.
I don't mean him. Salt of the earth kind of guy.
Yeah, salt of the earth. Just, a true. Actually, I haven't seen him in a while. Hope he's doing well. But I had shades of Resnick when I watched Klinkhammer trying to move the puck through the neutral zone. He took a couple strides. Oh my!
It was like watching. It's like a horse that's been winning the race, and they have that home stretch, and you're like, just get there, just get to the freaking finish, and the other horse is just like, no.
Yeah, and you just see him like, it almost looks like he's like just like dropping back, and all the other horses are moving forward.
It was unbelievable. The guy almost overskated his like stick lift and back check because he was moving so slow. He like got too far past and was like, oh shit, like I missed the puck because I moved too fast.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty unbelievable to see, but we're a little pressed for time here, so we're going to have to sign off for this week.
And we'll next week will be a good week. This week should be a great week. Football's almost over, so that podcast, for those of you who watch that one too, that podcast will be posted probably tomorrow. So we'll leave you with, what's this guy's name? Oh, Robist of Zombies. And any last words?
Just best of luck to everybody this week. I'm certainly looking forward to my matchup with you. It's going to be one for the ages. You'd have to think with the way both teams are trending.
I agree.
But good luck. Hopefully the Pens get healthy this week, and we'll catch you next time here on the Intent to Injure Recap Podcast.
Go Pens.